It's been a lively few days around the club, with a whirlwind of transfer rumours, title celebrations and pundits having their say. Among the noise, one moment stood out. Roy Keane delivered a brutally funny comment about Rangers while giving Celtic their due credit. In today's video, we'll break down exactly what he said and why it's got fans talking. Not only that, we will also go over all the latest news from the club in the last 24 hours. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Luis Palma looks set to return to Celtic this summer after Olympiacos reportedly informed the Scottish champions they will not be activating their option to buy the winger. Palma joined Celtic 2 summers ago from Aris Thessaloniki and initially impressed under Brendan Rodgers, showing flashes of attacking flair and chipping in with goals and assists in the early part of his first campaign. However, form and fitness issues saw him fall out of favour before being loaned out during the winter window this season. The Honduran international has struggled for game time in Greece, making just 2 starts since joining the Athens side on loan in January. Despite an option to make the deal permanent for $3.5 million, as Olympiacos have decided against triggering the clause, citing a lack of impact and game involvement. With his future now back in Celtic's hands, the club will need to decide whether to reintegrate the 25-year-old into next season's plans or explore another move. Much may depend on Celtic's summer recruitment, particularly with Jota out long-term and Dyson Maeda taking on a more central role in recent months. Palmer's return adds another layer to what is expected to be a busy summer at Lennox Town, as the club looks to fine-tune its squad ahead of Champions League qualifiers and a fresh domestic campaign. Now for the main story, as Roy Keane couldn't resist a cheeky dig at Rangers during his overlap appearance ahead of his former side's Europa League semi-final. He references the Ibrox club's gap behind Celtic while discussing Manchester United's chances of reaching the final. United are 3-0 up on aggregate heading into the second leg of their semi-final against Athletic Bilbao, and Keane declared the tie all but done. When challenged on whether the job was really finished, the Irishman delivered a typically sharp retort. Keane said, "Bilbao just about beat Rangers. Rangers are 300 points behind Celtic. My goodness," he said. The line, delivered with classic Keane deadpan, drew laughter from the studio. With Celtic already crowned champions and on the brink of another treble, the comment will strike a nerve in Glasgow. Rangers, at the first sight of quality, crashed out of the Europa League. Athletic Bilbao didn't look that good over the 2 legs, but still got over the line. Man Ut were comfortable in the first leg and have set themselves up for what should be an easy night at Old Trafford. Keane, who turned out for Celtic in his latter days, has been linked to the dugout at Parkhead a few times, but has never stepped into it. He's stuck to his punditry and has often shared the sharp, humorous lines. In other news, Kasper Schmeichel could be fit in time for Celtic's Scottish Cup final clash with Aberdeen, with the veteran keeper targeting a return before the domestic season concludes. The 38-year-old has been sidelined since suffering a shoulder injury while on international duty with Denmark in March, but with the Hampden showpiece now just over 2 weeks away, Schmeichel is back in training and pushing to prove his fitness. The keeper has been in Celtic training but hasn't been diving around or anything of the sort, while he has also kept close contact with the matchday squads. Brendan Rodgers has made it clear he won't rush his number 1 back into action prematurely. The hope is that Schmeichel will feature in at least one of Celtic's final Premiership matches against Hibs, Aberdeen or St Mirren as part of his build-up to the final. Should he come through a return match unscathed, he'll be firmly in contention to start against Aberdeen on May 24th, where Celtic will look to seal their 6th treble in 9 years and yet another piece of silverware under Rodgers' reign. Still, there's no mistaking the value of Schmeichel's experience, particularly heading into a cup final with a domestic treble on the line. In the meantime, young Finnish stopper Viljami Sinisalo has taken his chance with both hands, delivering a composed performance in last weekend's derby at Ibrox, as well as matches previously, and showing signs he could be a long-term option. In other news, former Celtic winger Scott Sinclair is set to become a free agent this summer after being released by Bristol Rovers in the wake of the club's relegation to League Two. Sinclair, now 35, was one of 8 players let go as the Gas looked to rebuild following a disastrous League One campaign that ended with the club finishing 22nd. The former Invincible returned to his boyhood club in 2022 and was handed the captain's armband ahead of the 2024-25 season. However, his second spell at Rovers ends on a sour note as the club prepares for life in the 4th tier. It marks another chapter closing for a player who played a pivotal role in one of Celtic's most iconic modern eras. Sinclair joined the Hoops from Aston Villa in August 2016, and his impact was instant. On his debut at Tynecastle, he came off the bench and scored within minutes, latching onto a Lee Griffiths cross to seal 3 points. That debut would set the tone for a sensational season. In his first campaign, Sinclair swept up Scotland's individual honours and was instrumental in Brendan Rodgers' side completing a historic invincible treble, scoring 25 goals in all competitions. Over his time at Parkhead, he netted 62 goals and provided 34 assists in 167 appearances, helping the club lift 8 major trophies before moving to Preston North End in January 2020 after being frozen out by Neil Lennon. Now looking for his next move, Sinclair's future is up in the air. In other news, Celtic remain firmly in the hunt for highly rated Motherwell midfielder Lennon Miller, but they're not alone. Interest in the 18-year-old is growing rapidly across Europe, with clubs in Germany and Italy now also tracking the Scotland international. The Hoops had a bid rejected for Miller in January and are widely expected to return with a fresh offer this summer. While Celtic have been persistent in their pursuit, they now face serious competition from abroad as Miller's performances in the Premiership continue to turn heads. The teenager, speaking this week, made clear that he's open to playing outside Scotland if it means regular football. He said this, "Yeah, you look at these players who have gone abroad and tried a different challenge. Most of them have worked. I don't mind where I am as long as I'm playing football. That's what I want to do. I want to play football. I don't even ask my agent. I just let him deal with it. We've got 3 games left of the season. That's my main focus, to pick up points for Motherwell and see where that takes us." He concluded, Scotland's track record of young players moving abroad is increasingly strong. Scott McTominay is thriving at Napoli. Lewis Ferguson is starring at Bologna, while Aaron Hickey, Josh Doig and Billy Gilmore have all made successful moves to Italy or beyond. With 3 games left in Motherwell's season, Miller insists his immediate focus is on finishing the campaign strongly. "Honestly, I don't know about next season," he added. Motherwell are expected to command a record fee for the midfielder, who is under contract until 2026. Celtic's long-standing interest gives them a foothold, but with top-tier European clubs circling, they may need to move quickly and decisively if they want to bring Miller to Parkhead. Lastly, Kieran Tierney's hopes of lifting the Champions League have come to an end, with Arsenal crashing out at the semi-final stage against Paris Saint-Germain. The former Celtic left-back watched from the bench as the Gunners were beaten 2-1 in Paris on Wednesday night, sealing a 3-1 aggregate defeat. It means Tierney won't be returning to Celtic Park this summer with a winner's medal around his neck, but his next Champions League appearance is likely to come in the green and white of Celtic, with the Scottish champions preparing for the playoff round in August. The 27-year-old is to rejoin the Hoops this summer after signing a pre-contract agreement. PSG will now face Inter Milan in the final after the Italian Giants came through a wild 2-legged tie with Barcelona, edging it 7-6 on aggregate. As for Tierney, attention now turns to pre-season and what will be a reunion with Celtic ahead of a critical Champions League qualifying campaign. With the Hoops unseeded in the playoff round, the road to the group stage will be far from straightforward, but having a player of Tierney's European experience back in the ranks could be crucial in that effort. It's a shame for the player that he won't return with a winner's medal around his neck. What are your thoughts on these? Let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content.